Welcome back to RealHouseDIY. Today I'm going to show you how to clean or replace a washer door gasket. Now, these front load washers, notorious for water to collect down at the bottom. It's going to get dirty and grow mold. Now, this video is going to be specific to the LG front load washers. That's going to be a very similar process for all other washers. Now, it's pretty basic to think about. You have these two spring clamps, goes around the outside of the washer door gasket, one on the outside, another one on the inside, connecting it to the drum. Now, it is possible to remove this and reinstall it without taking any of the panels off the washer. You do have very limited access when you're working on that inner spring clamp, however. If you want to take a look at that method, I have a video on my channel. I'll get a link in the description. But for today, this is going to be the easier but possibly more time consuming. We're going to be removing the top panel, the control panel, and the front door panel. Then we'll have really good access to working on this door gasket. First thing you want to do, since you're going to be working on that control panel, is unplug power. Then to remove the top panel, for most washers, it's going to be the lower screws on these brackets back here, one on each side. Remove those screws. Then the top panel should slide backwards. And lift it up to take it off. At this point, with the top panel removed, you can actually see the door gasket inner spring clamp right there. And this is actually pretty good access if you want to try the gasket removal and replacement just like this. Next, I'm going to take out this detergent dispenser. It's this tab right here. You push this down and pull it out. Next, I have a couple screws right here. I'm going to remove those screws. Next, behind the control panel, unplug all these wires. They're connected to this wiring harness. And you'll see they each have a tab. You're going to push the tab in to pull the connector out. And on these longer ones here, the tab is actually underneath where you're going to press. Next, you have a screw right here in the corner that you have to remove. Now you can tell the control panel is getting loose, and all that's left here, you have these small white tabs. You need to pull up, get those over that metal frame. And just wiggle a little bit, and that control panel will come right out. Next, I'm going to remove this outer spring clamp. There are some specialty tools you can get, like these spring clamp pliers, or some basic hand tools will do just fine, such as needle nose pliers, small length of wire, or the locking pliers. So I'll just thread this wire through the circle of the spring on one side. That's good for pulling on that side. Get some needle nose pliers over on this side. Expand that spring. Gently pull out the clamp. And that clamp will completely come off just like that. And finish taking the outer side of the gasket off. Down at the bottom of the washer, we have the drain pump filter door. You're going to take that door off. Then you have a screw down at the bottom here that you need to remove. Take the drain tube off there, and this piece of plastic come out. You'll see there's another screw that's behind there that you'll need to remove. Then back up at the top, you have 1, 2, 3 more screws to remove at the top of this door panel. At this point, you'll find that the door panel is very loose. Pretty much all it's holding it on now is the gasket. But before I take that off, I'm going to remove these 2 screws on the door lock sensor. Otherwise, your other option, after you remove the gasket from the outside, close the door, then you can turn the panel this way and unplug the electrical connector from the bottom of the door lock sensor. And you can take that gasket off outside, close the door, and lift the panel out. Next, you'll find down at the bottom of the gasket here a drain hose. Use some needle nose pliers. Take off that clamp, and then you can remove this tube. And up at the top, you can see this arrow that points up. That's for the orientation of your gasket. And here's the inner spring clamp that needs to be removed. And this inner spring clamp, it's pretty easy to remove, very difficult to put back on. To take it off, I'm going to grip on to this loop with my locking pliers on this side. Get my needle nose pliers over on this side. Unhook it. Then the spring clamp will come all the way off. And then you can just pull the gasket off of the drum. Now the manual states you want to clean the gasket in a bleach and water solution, or of course you can buy a replacement. So what I'm going to do, especially in these worst areas here, I'm going to scrub this out really well and then soak this in a bleach and water solution. Some washer door gaskets will actually have more than one of these drain tubes, and you want to keep those clear so the water will properly drain out of this area and keep this clean. On the washer side, you want to clean out all around the inside of the drum here. Again, best to use a water and bleach solution. You can use household cleaners, but then make sure you run a tub clean cycle before washing the laundry. You also want to fully remove this drain tube. Make sure that's clear for proper draining from the door gasket, and that just drains right back into the drum. Got the door gasket as clean as it's gonna get now and let it dry, and you can tell that staining is still there. That staining is never going to come out. Now, if you don't have time to let this air dry, the most important part to hand dry with a towel is going to be the 2 grooves where your spring clamps go, and right behind that arrow, that's going to be the part that presses on to the white drum. You want to dry that out as well. To get this reinstalled, remember you have that arrow that points up and it faces toward the washer. Right behind there is your groove. Just gets pushed on and snapped on to that white lip of the drum. To make sure that's fully on that white lip of the drum, you don't want to see any gap right along here. And on this inside edge, you'll feel that hard lip of the drum right there. Go ahead and put that drain tube back on. Now we're ready to install that inner spring clamp. You want to take a look at this hook here. Make sure that it's going to be able to latch on nicely and not slide off. Gonna fit that into that groove. You have to get it around that drain hose. I've got another video on my channel. If you only have basic hand tools, these are the best ones to use. Some small locking pliers, nail nose pliers, to get that hooked back on. Otherwise, you can use the professional tools. Today I'll use the spring extension tool. I also get a video on my channel, comparison between these two tools, see which one is best. This one here only costs $9. This one more like $20 or $30. So we're gonna do, insert this into the spring there. You can see a little catch on the little indents on the pliers. Then we can squeeze the pliers, stretch out the spring. Double check, make sure the clamp is in the groove. Push it onto the hook. It's hooked on there right now. Double check it's in the groove again before I take the pliers off. Okay, and then just gotta get the pliers off here, get it off on the right side. A little bit of twist, pull it off on the left side. Now it's time to put the door panel back on. If you had removed the electrical connection from the door lock sensor, you want to plug that back in and then tilt the door back into position. Or if you did what I did, you want to install the door lock sensor with the screws back on the door panel and then put the door into position. I get the door open here. Hook it onto the bottom. Get that door lock sensor back into position there, ready for the screws. Now you need to get the door gasket pulled through just a little bit here. It'll help hold the door panel in place while you get some more screws in. Remember, we have 3 screws at the top. And we have this 1 screw down at the bottom. And put this cover back on. Slide the tube through. Tube can snap right in there. Then get the screw back in. Reattach this little door. Next, I'll get this outer spring clamp back on. And for that, you need to pull the gasket up over the metal lip. You can see this metal lip, it curves around here. So you just stretch this out to get it in place. Get the spring clamp into the groove, except right at the very bottom, you need to pull the spring apart. This time, I'll use that spring clamp plier tool. Next, I'll get the control panel back in. And make sure it snaps in at the top. Add the screws back in for the detergent dispenser. Put the detergent dispenser back in. Again, you have to press down on this tab here, making sure it locks in place. For the control panel, we had 1 screw here in the corner to put back in. Plug all the electrical connectors back in. Before I put that top panel back on, I'll plug power back in. Make sure power is on and that all my electrical connections are correct. So power on. Appears to be working fine. I'll get the top panel back on. Get the top panel sitting flat and it slides forward. Then we can get those 2 screws back on. Now we're finished. Have a nice clean washer door gasket. Anyone familiar working with basic hand tools should be able to do this just fine. Hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching.